Hello guys, we are here to present Grammar 1 in 2 for Book 4, and this is Tariq Jamal. So, what do we need to know for this grammar, right? So, what is a regular verb and an irregular verb? What is a base verb? What is a consonant? What is a vowel, right? So, I want you all to just look at the screen for a minute and just talk to yourself that what are we talking about today? What are we going to learn today? And then we will move on. All right, let's move on now. So, today we will study the simple past tense, when to use the simple past, regular simple past, plus the spelling rules, irregular and negatives. All right. So, this is part of our grammar. We are going to learn about past tense, right? And when to use the simple past and the regular simple past plus spelling rules, like how can you use it? What do you need to do to make the verb to the past, right? These are the things that we are going to discuss. And then, of course, we do have some irregular verbs, right? Meaning that for that verb, you just cannot change it to the past, like maybe just adding AD and then it becomes a past tense. Uh, it won't work that way for some of the verbs, and those are called irregular. And then, of course, we have negatives as well. All right, so once again, I will just leave the slide here for a few seconds so that you guys can have a better understanding of what are we doing, what are we going to learn. All right, let's move on. So what is the simple past? So the word, if you think about it, past, it means that something that has already happened, right? So we use the simple past for an event that happened and finished in the past, meaning it has already happened and done, completed, right? And when? In the past. So you need to understand that when we are talking about past, it means something that has already happened. You have done it. It's completed. It's not that you are doing or you are going to do. It's something that has already happened. For example, you guys have already finished high school, right? So that's why you guys are in the university now. So you can say like, I have finished high school. So that is past. You have completed it. It's done. All right. So now let's move on. So regular past verbs, base plus ed, right? So what do we do? So yesterday I walked to school, right? I walked to school. So what are we doing here? So if we just think about walk itself, which is a regular, right? It's a regular verb, correct? So we are adding ed just to make sure that this is past now, because yesterday this means what? The day before yesterday, right? Or the day before today. It's not today, it's not tomorrow, it's yesterday. Something that has already passed. So yesterday I walked to school. So this is something that you have done in the past. So that is why we're using ed. We're just adding ed so that the verb now is in past tense. All right. So all we do here with the base verb, which is walk, W-A-L-K, right? Walk, and then we're just adding ed. So look at the picture, something that we see yesterday, right? Yesterday we see that someone was walking, right? And then we have a picture here for today. Let's move on. So regular past verbs, again, base plus ed. So remember, the base verb means there's nothing added there, okay? It's just a regular base verb. And then we can add ed to make it past, right? So regular past verbs end with ed. You can often just add ed to the base verb, all right? So most of the time, to make your verb in the past, all you have to do, just add ed. All right, I want you all to remember that most of the time for regular verbs, all we do is add ed, and then it becomes past verb. All right, so look at the example here. Yesterday I walked to school. On Thursday we played games. Last year I missed a test, right? So now I want you all to read this slide. Look at the verb and how did we change it to ed. And then we'll move on after that. So I will leave the slide here for a minute so that you guys can have um, a better understanding of this past tense. All right, now let's move on to the next slide. So what we have here is 3 spelling rules to remember for making simple past verbs. All right. So here, before I explain to you guys, I want you all to read the slide. Okay. Read it to yourself, and this is very self-explanatory. Okay. So you can understand it by yourself. So just have a look at it. That if the base verb ends in e, only add d. All right. So remember that if your base verb ending with e, the letter e, all you have to do to make it to past tense is add d. Look at the example. Close, C-L-O-S-E. So the verb is ending with the letter E. To make it past, all we did is just added D to it, right? So now I want you all to read this slide, understand it to yourself, go through it a couple of times, and then we'll move on. And of course, before moving on, I will go through it together. But now, for next 2 to 3 minutes, I want you all to pay full attention to the slide and understand how things are changing, how the verbs are changing. What are we doing? What is the spelling rule? All right. So let's just spend 3 minutes of your time here, and then we will move on. All right, guys. So let's go through it together. Three spelling rules for making simple past verbs, right? The first one I've already explained, that if the base verb ends in E, all you have to do is add D, and that is it. If the base verb ends in a consonant plus Y, change the Y to an I plus ed. So we know consonant, right? Any letters other than the vowels are consonant, correct? So the vowels are A, E, I, O, U. So these five letters are vowels, and any letters other than these five letters are known as consonant. So look at the example now. Study, study, right? So ends in a consonant plus y, right? So D is a consonant, and then we have y. So we are going to take y away. We're not going to use y anymore. We will change y to IED. All right. And if we look at the note there at the end with the asterisk, that if the letter before the y is a vowel, just add ed. All right. The example is play. So Y is the last letter, right? But before Y, what do we have here? We have A, which is our vowel, correct? So for that, we are going to add ED. And now the last one, if the base verb ends with a consonant plus vowel plus consonant, double means twice, right? The last consonant and add ed. Okay, so what are we going to do here now? Look at the example. If we have a stop, S-T-O-P. So think about what are the rules on number 3. If the base word ends with a consonant plus vowel plus consonant, right? So T is consonant, O is vowel, P is consonant, right? So now what is the rule? That we gonna double it. The last consonant will be double, meaning P is the last consonant. So we're gonna add one more P, right? And then we are going to add ED. So stop, stopped, nap, napped, drop, dropped. All right. So let's move on to the next slide. So let's practice match the correct ending. Okay. So go through this, do it to yourselves, and make sure you guys do it properly, read it, match it, and then just do what we have done there. So you can just take a piece of paper and you can write this word on the left side, you can write this word on the right side, and then just match it. And all you need for that is 2 minutes. So I will leave the slide here for the next 2 minutes, and then we will move on. All right, let's move on and see how did you guys do. Okay, so dance, danced, right? Jump, just add ed, jump. Paint, add ed, painted. Walk, we have already done that in the beginning. We had that as an example, right? Just add ed. Kick, add ed. Jump, right? And then play, we have also showed that in the examples earlier. And that is just add ed, play, played. All right, so let's practice write the missing word, right? So look at the picture, right? And then you are going to put that in your blanks, correct? You have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I give you 2 minutes, half a second for each. Alright, let's move on to the next slide to see if you guys were thinking right. Okay, so as the picture says, right, for the first one, someone is walking, right? We know that, and we have to do that in the past, right? So I walk in the park, and then that's a painting, right? So I painted a flower in art class. We played catch in the park, and then there's a jump, right? So I jump high in the air. Let's move on. So irregular past verbs, right? So some verbs don't follow the ed ending rules. These are irregular verbs, right? And I have mentioned that in the beginning of the presentation, right? That there are some irregular verbs, meaning that you just don't add ed to it. So here is the list. So I want you all to go through it, read it to yourself, look at the base, and then look at the simple past, look at the base, and look at the past. All right. And then also, I would suggest that you take a note and write it down and try to put that in your head. You need to have that in your mind all the time so that you know it right away that do is not dude. It's not just add ed. Do is did, right? Go is went, right? So I want you all to just put that in your head, even if you have to go through it some kind of like um, put that in your memory, like memorization or whatever way you want to do it, but do it in such a way that you know it by your heart. All right, so I will leave that here for 2 to 3 minutes so that you guys can go through it and then take a note, and then we will move on. All right, guys, we are going to move on to the next slide. So, look at the slide here. You are going to practice match the correct irregular past verbs. All right. So something that you have already seen. So just go through that, and then we will move on to check how did you guys do. Well, I will leave it here for 3 minutes or so, and hopefully you guys will be able to do it. All right, guys. So now let's have a look. So the first one come, right? So the past is came, right? Swim, swam, correct? On the right hand side, have, had, correct? So let's go through the answers here, and I just want you guys to review it and see if you guys have the same answers, all right? If not, don't worry about it. You can just go back and practice one more time and go through those lists that we have, and it should be okay. So now I want you to just review your answers for a few seconds, and then we'll move on to the next slide. All right, let's move on. So we are going to practice again, fill in the blank with the correct irregular verb, right? So the dog came to me, right? Something, of course, we're doing in the past. Look at the picture there. I swam in the pool, right? She sang a song. I put on my clothes. Let's check one thing here before we move on. So we actually just did it for you guys. Okay, so now negative statements. To make a negative simple past sentence, use didn't plus base verb. Okay, remember. So negative means no, right? Not positive. So we are going to use did not plus base verb, right? Subject plus didn't plus base verb. I didn't study yesterday. You did not stop. So remember, so when you are using didn't, then for your verb, right, remember it is going to be base verb. In the past, if you're using didn't, right, you cannot say I did not study yesterday. No, because you have already used your past, right, which is did not, didn't. So you cannot have two past verbs in one sentence, right? So you have to say I didn't study yesterday. So remember the rules. Subject plus didn't plus base verb. So in the negative, you will have your base verb at the end. All right, remember that. So you're not going to change your base verb. For example, look here. He did not eat, right? We are not saying that he didn't eat. He did not eat. So base verb remains the way it is, all right? So now I want you all to just go through this for a minute and understand the concept here. All right, let's move on. So again, negative statements. If the verb is a base verb, use the negative be verb, not didn't. So look, I wasn't on time. You were not happy. We weren't friends, right? We were not friends. So look at the rule one more time. If the verb is a be verb, right? If the verb is a be verb, use the negative be verb, not didn't. Okay? And you all know the be verb, right? Am, is, are, right? Past, correct? Was. So I wasn't on time. You were not happy. We were not friends. They were not lazy. He wasn't alone. She wasn't busy. Okay? So here we did not use didn't. We just used what? The negative be verb, right? Was, wasn't. Correct? So I want you all to just go through this slide for a few seconds and then we will move on. All right, let's move on. Yes, no questions, right? Past simple, regular and irregular. Look at the chart here. I, you, he, she, it, we, they, cooked, right? Yes, no questions with short answers. Did, I, you, he, she, it, we, they, cook, right? Yes, I did. You did, right? No, I didn't, correct? So what to think here? I want you all to think that what are we actually trying to do here? Look at the chart, the second chart on the left side, right? Look, did I cook, right? So did is what past, right? So cook is the base verb now, right? So what happens? We just left it as the base verb, right? Because we already have did. And then when you are going to answer, what you're going to say? Yes, I did. And if it is a no, then we'll say the negative, right? No, I didn't. So just go through this chart here for a minute and then we'll move on. Alright, let's move on. So let's practice. Look at the question. There are a few questions here, right? So look at number one. Blank you I story, right? So the first part is a question, correct? Okay. And the second part is your answer, right? So think that for the question, what are you going to put? What is going to be your option? A, B, C, right? Where, was, did. It means, are you going to put where for the first one and then was for the second one? Or did for the first one and did for the second one? Or was for both the first and the second? All right. So I want you all to do this for next minute and a half, and then we will check your answers. All right, let's move on to check. So look at number one. Were you a student, right? Past. Yes, I was. Number two. Did your brothers travel last year? No, they didn't, right? Okay. And then for the right hand side, did you watch TV, right? Did you watch TV? Yes, I did. And then, were they your books? Yes, they were, correct? All right. WH questions, past simple. So we know the WH questions, right? Who, what, where, when, how, why. In the past, did, right? Who did he wash his car with? Or who washed the car? What did he wash? Or what did he do? Right? So what did he do? An action, right? What did you do? I washed the car, right? I washed the car, correct? If you want to talk about in the past tense. All right. So I just want you all to understand this chart for a minute and then we will move on. Alright, let's move on. So, write WH question for the statements below, right? Sam washed the car. Sam washed the car. What did Sam do yesterday? Right? Sam washed the car. I met Dave, right? I rode my bike. I got it in the circle. So I rode my bike. How? It means something happened, right? I met Dave when I got it in the souk. So souk is place where, correct? So I want you all to answer this for a minute and a half and then we will move on. All right, let's move on. Okay, here we go. Just check your answers for a few seconds before we move on to the next slide. All right, let's move on. Okay, so let's review. Simple past tense, right? List at least 5 verbs that are irregular in the past with their past tense form, that is go went. All right. So the 5 irregular verbs that you have already gone through. So list those. How do we change a regular verb to past tense? If it ends in Y, if it ends in E. How do we make a negative if the verb is be? How do we make a negative if the verb is not be? I want you all to think about it for a minute and then we'll move on. All right, so this just work that in your head, and of course you can also do this as your homework, right? You can sit down, go through it, and do it. So now just for a few seconds, think it to yourself before we move on to the next slide. All right, so just have a look. This is something you guys should know by now. But the more practice you do, the better you will get. Remember that. So I want you all to keep practicing this kind of things, all right? So whatever we have done so far, of course, I'm sure and I believe that you guys have understood it. But the best thing to do is also just go through it one more time during your free time and then just review it, all right? Let's move on. So this is your quiz time. There are 6 questions. I want you all to read it with full attention and then answer the questions, all right? So look at number 1. He blank to win and in the end he was successful. So what are we going to do here? We are doing what? Past tense, right? We are going to choose the correct past verb, right? With the correct spelling. All right. So I just gave you a hint. So just take for these 6 questions. I will give you 3 minutes to do it. All right, and then we will review your answers together. The time starts now. All right, guys, we are moving on to the next slide to check your answers. Hopefully, you guys got it right. Okay, number 1. He tried, right? C-T-R-I-E-D. So it ended with Y. We are just taking Y away and adding I-E-D. Yesterday, I missed the bus and simple, right? Walk to school. Just adding ed to the base verb, right? I blank sad at the end because Rose wouldn't share the door and Jack died, right? So I was sad, correct? Okay, I did not have a lot of homework in high school, but I have so much homework now. Because it's not that like I had a lot of homework in high school, but I have so much homework now because you're saying that I have it now. that means in the past you didn't have, right? So that's why we just gonna use did not have, correct? So since we already have didn't, we're not going to choose had. So C is out of question, and have is positive, so we're not going to use that either. All right. After I finish class, I A, right? Close my book. Remember the rule? If it ends with E, all we do is add D. Okay, last one. They cried when the last came, correct? Y, take Y away, I-E-D. All right, guys, so this was our presentation for grammar, and I hope that you guys were able to understood the concept, the rules, and I really want to request you guys to review your presentation so that you guys can have a better understanding. So with this, we are going to end our presentation. You all have a wonderful day.